What's up, guys, and welcome to the Heroic Malkorok Raid Guide. As always, in this guide, we're just going to be going over the differences between normal mode and heroic mode. So, getting right into it, this is an extremely enrage-dependent fight. Okay, so pumping out as much damage as you can, and then healing intensive is insane in this fight. You have to make sure everybody's shields are up in phase 1. You have to be spamming the tank in phase 2. It's just insane, and let me get into all that with you right now. Obviously, in phase 1, the void zones need to be soaked. If you do not soak one void zone, your raid will wipe. Pretty much end of story. There's not really any way around it. So make sure that you're stacking those. That you're soaking those. The only real thing that you have to worry about is, aside from making sure that you have, your shield up and you're watching your shield debuff, is there's going to be little balls that spawn around the room. Okay, if you hit the little balls, it will do 150 damage off of, or 150k damage off of your health bar, plus it will remove your shield. So not only do the healers have to heal you up, but you now become more susceptible to dying the more orbs that you soak. Now as they spawn, it'll look like this black kind of spray is coming up out of the ground, and it gives you about 2 or 3 seconds to move out of them. Now it is a little bit difficult to see, especially as the fight progresses and you have more and more balls up, and then you have all the void zones that you're looking for as well, so keep that in mind. But the biggest thing that you'll find, guys, is what's going to happen is you're going to go to soak a void zone and you're going to run right through a ball to go soak it, and then you're going to kill yourself. Okay, the reason that's going to happen is because it wipes your shield. So you're going to run into that void zone thinking you have a full shield, when in fact you have 0 shield, and then you're just going to get smashed in the face by that explosion. You're not going to be able to do anything. So make sure that you're watching where you're walking when going to the void zones. Make sure that you have a clear path and that you're getting there as fast as possible. Now, if it's the difference between a raid wipe and a kill, obviously you'll soak it without a shield if you can get there, but typically they're not hard to avoid. The other thing that you need to understand is that Seismic Slam, what this does in heroic mode is it will actually spawn an ad after it throws you in the air, and these ads have auras that slow you ridiculously. So what you need is you need all of your melee to be on their toes. Every time they see Seismic Slam, taunt that ad in there. That ad needs to come into the middle, the tank needs to pick it up. The ads don't do much damage, so you can cleave them down. You should never switch DPS off of Malkorok at any point. Any classes with cleave can just go ahead and cleave them down, help their damage out a little. It's not going to hurt you. They do not need to die instantly, okay? They just need to die. So keep that in mind. Now phase 2, there's 2 different ways that you can do phase 2. Okay, there's the stack method, and then there's the way that we did it, which you see in the video. Now, there's a lot of people saying that you can't do the way you can't do it the way that we did in the video, which is weird because we're doing it. But that you need a brewmaster, that you need a pally, a warrior can do it. It just really comes down to the intelligence of the class players. Okay, whoever's playing the class, figuring out how to stack their stats properly, what cooldowns they're going to be using, getting with your healers and figuring out, okay, so for this one I need this cooldown and this cooldown, and I'm popping this cooldown. Okay, for this one, what do we have left? Well, I have this, so I'll save my strong one here. You use, Iron Bark, you use Light Cocoon, you use Bubble, whatever you got to use, Pain Suppression, doesn't matter, you use it, okay? Whatever you can use on that tank, get it on that tank. So, things like Iron Bark, Rallying Cry, Smoke Bomb, Cocoon, Salve, anything that you can use to kind of help out, plus healing cooldowns as well. So make sure that you have, any health adding cooldowns, any healing cooldowns, anything that you can do, because there is raid-wide damage still going out during this phase, but this phase is all about keeping the tank alive, and that's if you do the spread method, okay? The spread method is a lot easier. We also, during this phase, had our off-tank running around and collecting the orbs, so that way the room was clear going back into phase 1 again, so it was rinse and repeat. Okay, so that's what we had our off-tank doing during this Blood Rage phase, because it's only 20 seconds long, so it was his job to pretty much fly around the room and pick up as many orbs as he could. Now remember that you can help during this phase with the orbs, because while DPS is important, making sure that your room is clean and making sure that your fellow raiders have a clean environment to work in phase 1 is going to be more important. So keeping an eye, making sure that you don't have a shield in phase 2, right? So you can soak those and you're just going to take 150k damage. So don't kill yourself, but if you can help out and take 1 or 2, if you can pop a personal, or pop a Hellstone, or pop something that will help keep you alive and go soak a couple, by all means go do that, because it's just going to help your group. But this is really the phase where you want to get those taken care of. Now if you're doing the stack method, what you need to be aware of in the stack method is that roars, totems, blinks, freedoms, whatever you can do to get out of a stun, you want to do that. Get out, let the healers dispel you, come back in, or just get out and stand there and then blow up and then come back in. Keep in mind that during this phase there is a ton of raid damage going out, so again, you're still going to need healer cooldowns, but you're not going to need tank-specific healer cooldowns as much as you would if you're going to do the spread method. So it really comes down in phase 2 to what's easier. Remember, it's only a 20-second phase, so if you can blanket CDs and you know when you see that attack coming, if you can throw out a bunch of damage reduction cooldowns on your tank and you have that ability with your raid comp, you're probably going to be better off doing the spread. If you don't have that ability but you have a ton of throughput, you're probably going to be better off doing the stack mode. It just really comes down to your raid comp. Now obviously if you can't get away from anybody who's got the displaced energy, go ahead and just move everybody around in a clockwise pattern about 90 degrees. So if you're at 3 o'clock you go to 6, 6 o'clock you go to 9. You just want to be far enough away so that explosion's not going to kind of hit anybody and just destroy anybody, because obviously if it clips anybody they're going to die. But that's if you don't have anything, which is very, very rare in a raid comp. So be aware of that. But if you can do those things, guys, that's really the only difference in heroic. This fight is awesome. It's a very you kill the boss before the boss kills you. There's tons of damage. You get to do tons of damage as you're just standing there. For the most part, it's a very, very, very just blow up or get blown up fight, which is one of my favorite styles of fights that Blizzard makes. So I really hope you guys like this one. And as always, see you in the next one.